The diner booth squeaked under his weight as he adjusted his posture, meticulously smoothing the short, dark hair on the back of his head, feeling for the slight stiffness of the mayonnaise he'd used that morning. It wasn't about vanity. It was about presentation. Big Tony, as he liked to be called in this part of town, always had to look sharp, especially when he was preparing for a video call. He checked the reflection in the screen of his phone. The light from the window was decent, hitting him just right, hiding the worst of the shadow under his chin. He took a deep, slightly wheezing breath, the scent of stale coffee and industrial cleaner filling his nose. It was only 8 a.m., but his day was already running on high anxiety. He tapped the screen. Her profile picture glowed back. Luna, 23, from a village near Cebu. He loved the way her eyes smiled. 28 years difference, a little voice always whispered in the back of his mind, but he quickly drowned it out with the memory of her laugh, light and clear like wind chimes. He was 51, successful by his own metric. He had a decent photography business, a house, and a dog named Teddy. What he didn't have was a partner who looked at him like he was the only man in the world, not until Luna. The phone rang, a tinny electronic chime, and he snatched it up, his hand slightly shaky. "Hello, my beautiful Lunabug," he boomed, maybe a touch too loud for the empty diner. Luna's face appeared, framed by a cascade of black hair. She was dressed in a simple cotton top, the sunlight backlighting her perfectly. "Tony, you are up so early, my love. For you, my little pineapple, I'd climb Mount Everest in flip-flops," he said, winking. It was one of his stock lines, but she always giggled. This time, the giggle felt a little subdued. "What is wrong, Luna?" he asked, instantly dropping the booming confidence. He hated this distance, the inability to just reach across the table and touch her hand, to read the tiny creases around her eyes. "Nothing, Tony. Just the roof of our house. The rainy season, you know? It leaks again. Mama is very worried." He frowned, leaning closer to the phone. "The roof? But I sent the money for the repairs last month. The $500. Did the builder not do the work?" Luna looked away, her eyes flickering towards a point off-screen. "He did some, Tony. But the materials, they were more expensive than he thought. He says we need another $400 for the strong metal sheets." A knot tightened in Tony's stomach. This was the third unexpected expense this month. It wasn't the money, not entirely. Tony was generous. He had a good heart, he knew that. He sent her family money, he bought her little gifts, a new phone, a pretty dress. He liked being the provider, the man who could fix things. But every time a new cost arose, that whisper came back, louder. Is this real love, or is this a transaction? He forced a smile. "Okay, sweetie. Don't worry about it. Tony will fix it. I will send the $400 this afternoon. Tell your mama to stop worrying, okay? Tony is here." "Oh, Tony, you are my hero." Thank you, she said, her smile suddenly brilliant, genuine. "You are so good to me." The genuine thanks melted his frustration away. "Now, did you go to the market? Did you get the fresh fish I told you about?" he asked, eager to shift the conversation to something lighter, something domestic. They talked for another hour. Tony complained about his job, exaggerating a difficult client into a major business crisis to sound important. Luna told him about her siblings, about the stray dog she was feeding, about her dream of opening a small, colorful flower stall. He hung up feeling lighter, the image of his little pineapple opening her flower stall etched vividly in his mind. This is why I do it, he thought, to give her that dream. He finished his cold coffee and paid the bill, leaving a hefty tip. Walking out to his car, he ran a hand over his carefully arranged hair one last time. He had to transfer the $400. That would put him slightly over budget this month, but the roof was important. Safety first. Later that afternoon, Tony was reviewing his bank statement, trying to reconcile the outgoing transfers. He noticed a charge, a $150 transaction for a boutique jewelry store in the city Luna lived near. It wasn't a charge he authorized. He had told her to use the money for food and her phone bill, that he would send a separate transfer for a gift on her birthday next month. He called her back, his voice strained. "Luna, I saw a charge on the statement. $150 from the jewel box store. What is that for? There was a long silence, a crackle of static over the poor connection. Oh, Tony, that. It was a gift for Mama. A small necklace. She was feeling down about the roof, and I wanted to cheer her up. I took a small amount from the allowance you sent. Tony felt a flash of anger, hot and sharp. Luna, the allowance is for food and necessities. Your mama needs a roof over her head more than a necklace. Why didn't you talk to me first? He knew he sounded controlling, but he couldn't help it. He was sacrificing his own budget for her family's security, and she was spending it on frivolous things without consulting him. I am sorry, Tony. I thought it was okay.
I didn't mean to make you mad.
Her voice was soft, fragile, and the anger quickly cooled to a heavy, familiar disappointment. He was the bad guy now, the big, angry American who couldn't understand a small gesture of love for a mother. It's not about being mad, Luna. It's about honesty and prioritizing. We are partners, right? We need to talk about these things. We're planning a life together, he said, running a tired hand across his face. Okay, just don't do it again. Focus on the roof. I'll send the extra money for the materials now. He hung up, feeling like he'd lost that small argument, sacrificing his need for control for the sake of peace. He sent the $400 and immediately felt better, the warm flush of being the savior returning. He knew he was doing the right thing. He was investing in their future. A week passed, and the communication grew strange.
Luna was busy, she said.
Helping her brother with the farm work. The calls were shorter, the video freezing more often. Tony would wake up to a flurry of texts. Good morning, my king. Thinking of you. Often sent in the middle of the night her time. But when he called, she rarely answered right away. He finally reached her on a Sunday afternoon. She was at a local festival, the music loud and tinny in the background. She was wearing the dress he'd bought her, but she was surrounded by people he didn't recognize. A tall, smiling man kept leaning in close to say something in her ear, making her laugh. Who is that, Luna? Tony asked, his voice flat. Oh, this is my cousin Marco. He is home from the city, she said quickly, tilting the phone so the man wasn't in the frame. But Tony had seen him. He hadn't looked like a cousin. He'd looked like a young, handsome man who enjoyed her company. Send me a picture of the roof. Did the work start? Tony pressed. Yes. It looks so much better, Tony. Thank you again, she exclaimed, a touch too enthusiastically. Send me a photo, Luna. I want to see your new, safe roof. A tense silence followed. I cannot right now, Tony. My phone battery is almost dead. I will send it tomorrow, I promise. Okay, he said, his voice dropping to a low growl that surprised even him. You send me that picture first thing tomorrow. I love you, Luna. Be careful. He hung up, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He spent the entire night tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling. Why wouldn't she send the photo? He knew the truth was often simple. Maybe the phone was dead. But the lie, the paranoia, felt bigger and more real. The money is gone, the roof isn't fixed, and she's spending time with a young man. The next morning the photo arrived. It wasn't of a finished metal roof. It was a blurry picture of some new wooden beams, half covered by tarpaulin. Tony felt the blood drain from his face. He checked the time difference and called her immediately. She answered, sounding sleepy. Luna, that photo. That is not a finished roof. Where is the metal? Where are the builders? She sighed, a weary, put-upon sound. Tony, I told you. The metal was more expensive. The builders bought the wood beams first, to stop the immediate leaks. They need the final payment for the metal sheets. I told you this last week.
No, Luna.
You told me you needed $400 for the final materials, which I sent. You told me the builders were starting, he shouted, slapping the table. The few people in the coffee shop looked over. He didn't care. You need to be honest with me. Where did the $400 go? Did the builder take it? Tony, please don't yell. You are scaring me, she whispered. The builder says he needs another $200. He said he miscalculated the delivery fee for the special sheets. It is very heavy. The betrayal was a physical ache in his chest, a sharp, cold realization. He didn't know if she was lying, if the builder was scamming them both, or if the money had simply been diverted to something else again. But the pattern was undeniable. He was the perpetual bank, the resource that was never enough. He lowered his voice, speaking with a heartbreaking clarity. "I'm not going to send another penny, Luna, until I see a receipt, a signed agreement, and a video of the materials arriving. I am coming to the Philippines next month. I will inspect the roof myself. I'll pay the builder directly." The line went silent. Then Luna's voice, cold and flat, came back. "If you do not trust me, Tony, then maybe we should not be together. I do not need a partner who calls me a liar over $200. My family is honorable. If you think I am stealing from you, then you are not my king. You are just a man with money. I am a man who loves you, Luna, and who wants the truth," he cried out, the frustration boiling over. "The truth is, Tony, that I am tired of the questions.
Goodbye."
The call ended. The silence that followed was deafening, amplified by the faint, cheerful jingle of the coffee shop's holiday music. Tony sat there for a long time, staring at the phone, at Luna's bright, smiling profile picture, now just a flat digital image. He felt the sting of tears behind his eyes, but he blinked them back. He was Big Tony. He didn't cry in public. He reached up, touching the perfectly sculpted back of his head. The mayonnaise was still doing its job, the hair stiff and unmoving. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and walked out into the cold, bright California sunshine. He drove home, letting the familiar streets and the sound of his engine fill the void in his head. When he walked in, his dog, Teddy, a little fluffy white ball of unconditional love, greeted him with frantic tail wags. Tony knelt down, burying his face in Teddy's fur, and finally let out the heavy breath he'd been holding since the call. He was alone again, back to square one. He knew he'd messed up. He was too trusting, too needy, too fast to pull the trigger on his emotions and his wallet. But he also knew he deserved honesty. He deserved real, uncomplicated love. He got up, went to his computer, and pulled up his dating apps. He adjusted the filters, 20 to 30 years old, within 5,000 miles of San Diego. A few profiles popped up, a girl from Mexico, another from Vietnam. They were young, beautiful, and smiling. He ran his hand over his hair again, feeling for the slight stiffness. He was Big Tony. He had a lot to offer. He just had to be better next time. More skeptical, less generous. But as he started typing his first message to a girl named Carla, a familiar, irresistible pull of hope mixed with deep-seated loneliness took hold. He told her she had beautiful eyes. He signed off with a smiley face. The cycle had already begun anew. "I hope this provides the kind of narrative depth and thematic focus you were looking for," written in the tone of Ed Brown's experiences. "What part of the story would you like me to focus on if I were to write a short follow-up, perhaps his next attempt at a long-distance relationship, or a scene with his dog, Teddy?"